Hi, I'm Jamie Mitchell, and welcome to another episode of the Big Wave Podcast. Today we have none other than Australian hellman Russell Bierke on. Russell is a young Australian big wave surfer. His dad is a big wave surfer back in the day, grew up in Hawaii, shapes all of Russell's boards. So we get into that, what it was like growing up with a dad that surfed big waves. We talked about Russell winning the Red Bull Cape Fear event at ours in giant crazy surf. And we just talk about everything big wave, from where he sees it going to the big wave tour, et cetera, et cetera. So I really had a great time chatting with Russell. Hope you enjoy the episode. All right. Russell Bierke, how are you, bud?
Good. How are you?
Good, mate. Welcome to the welcome. We haven't got a name for the podcast yet, so we're just calling it the Unnamed Big Wave Podcast. But you're guest number 3. We had I had McClure on, and I had Emmy Erickson last week, and you're guest number 3. So how's things, mate? How's things back in Australia with the whole virus / just craziness? What's how's it where you are? You guys down there? Are you in Ulladulla at the moment, down south, or?
Yeah, I'm down in Ulladulla at the moment and feeling pretty lucky to be away from a big city. I don't know, it's still like crazy and weird here, but I think so far we've got away with it a bit better than a lot of other parts of the world. Like we've only had like a small amount of cases relatively, and it's only growing like 20 to 30 a day kind of at the moment. So feeling pretty lucky to be here and still able to surf at the moment.
Yeah, it's crazy because you're pretty close to like one of the major cities in the world, like Sydney, but you're still so far away, like being down there at the south coast.
Yeah.
It's and you guys are still allowed to get in the water and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I know Australia got pretty hectic there for a little bit. They were closing the beaches like Bondi and stuff. But what about a little bit further south? Are you actually allowed to get out and get wet without getting arrested and stuff?
Yeah, they never ended up closing beaches around here. Like a few of the national parks with a few waves in them are closed, but pretty much everything's all the like public land's still open, and feeling pretty lucky. Been surfing and had a little flat spell, so been diving, spearfishing a bunch, and it's
Yeah.
been pretty. It's been all right compared to some other places I'm seeing.
Yeah, because you can't. Can you travel? I mean, I don't know, but I heard that they shut the borders. I know like New South Wales and Queensland, because that's where my parents are from, and it was crazy. Like to get across, I mean, you know how close it is. Like Snappers, Queensland, and then D-Bars, New South Wales, and you couldn't get across the border without having a permit to work or something like that. And I heard you couldn't even you couldn't get into Western Australia. Like, is that it? You got to sort of stay in your own state. Like, is that how it's been working, or?
Yeah, pretty much. I think for a bit you could leave Queensland, and go into New South Wales. But if you were from New South Wales, you couldn't go into Queensland. So it's something weird there. And then all the borders are shut. And if you're too far from home, they might have stopped now, but I think they were fining people if you were like traveling unnecessarily, and you were like say 2 hours from home and didn't have a valid reason. You were getting like at least $1,000 fine. So it was definitely pretty
Because I've been
serious
seeing
and
it. I've been seeing a bunch of swells, like a bunch of white like swells looking like they were heading towards Tazzy and that. So I was just wondering, like, if there were like Shippies swells and stuff like that, if you could actually get there and do that, or you sort of just probably stuck, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone that's local to their own spot's probably scoring.
Yeah, I think in Tasmania, actually, all the national parks are closed, which that's like 90% of their waves. So even
Yeah,
if there is
right.
a shippy swell, even the local boys, I don't think they can actually go in and surf it, which is pretty wild.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
crazy.
thankfully we're still able to surf here, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely, I don't know, sitting and hoping, waiting we have a good year.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll be doing much traveling, even in Australia.
Yeah, wow. Amazing. Well, yeah, well, getting back to I'd like to actually start. I mean, I know your dad, Kirk, he lived in Hawaii for a while, right? But I don't know the full backstory. Was he born in America? Was he born in the US, like California or something, and then moved to Hawaii, lived, shaped boards? Like, what's the background of like your dad, like starting off?
Yeah, so dad was actually born in Wisconsin,
No
and
way! Wow.
when he was, yeah, his family moved to Cali, where he started. I don't know, I learned to surf there, started shaping in LA, and I think moved up to Santa Barbara and was shaping a bunch there and doing a bunch of strike missions up north. And yeah, he used to go down and spend seasons in Porto, and everyone would tell him like every time he was down there, they're like, "Oh, you got to go to Hawaii, you'll love it." And he ended up just booking a holiday there for a couple of months and stayed there for nearly 20 years, where he met mum and I was born. And yeah, so he definitely
Yeah,
fell
so
in love
that's what
with
I
the
was about.
place.
Yeah, yeah, I was about to ask that. You were born in Hawaii?
Yeah, yeah, I was born in
Wow.
Hawaii. We lived in a house until I was 5, like in that little right away at Rocky Rides.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it was.
So
I know I can't remember too much, but
yeah,
yeah, it
right.
always
So you
always feels
hold
like a
so you
second
hold a
home when
U.
I'm back.
Yeah, it's crazy. So you hold a US and Australian passport?
Yeah, I do. So pretty lucky there. Uh,
Yeah, that's awesome. Same as my daughters. They're born here, and just because I'm a citizen, they get to get the dual passport. So it's pretty big, especially this day
Yeah,
and age, having been able to travel and get into the US and stay as long as you want. That's pretty rad. So yeah, so you don't
yeah,
have too
cool.
many memories of Hawaii, like um, most of your memories growing up in Australia.
Yeah, definitely a few memories. I know it's still when I was 5, so it's very you only remember small,
Yeah,
weird little pieces. But yeah, every time I'm back, it's always got that familiar feeling. And yeah, every couple of years we go back on a holiday, and so I've spent a lot of time there
yeah.
growing
And then
up.
so you guys, and then you moved to where did you guys move to when they decided to move to Australia? Where did they go straight to the south coast or?
Well, we lived in Cabarita for a couple of years because my mum's
Wow,
parents
okay.
are up there, and yeah, it's a super nice place. But I know Dad's a goofy footer who likes big waves, and the 3 foot right points weren't cutting it for him. So yeah,
Yeah,
decided
yeah,
they decided to move south, and yeah, I'm definitely stoked they did.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I feel like that south coast area there of Ulladulla, because I used to do when I was doing my surf like nippers and my surf club stuff. We used to go down to Mollymook a lot,
Yeah, cool.
and we had like carnivals and stuff down there. It was always big. Felt like it was always giant when we got down there, down that way. But they did the I don't know. You were young, but I was young too. But they did the Billabong challenge. Do you remember the Billabong challenge? The
Yeah,
movies they used to do down there, and that they did one down that way. I think Dorian and all those guys were in it, and there was some. It was so long ago,
yeah, they
but I
scored
remember
that.
seeing it. They scored. It was giant, right? It was like
Yeah, I know it's
legitimate
pretty
big
rare you get a
waves.
run of swell like that. Yeah, it's so rare you get a run of swell like that down here. It's like I know we've got so many amazing reefs and stuff, but it's pretty rare they light up. And for them, they like ticked off pretty much every one of the big wave spots around here. And yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen a run of swell like that living here.
Yeah.
But
And so what?
it's
So
such
so
a
you
cool
so
place.
you moved. Yeah. So what age were you when you like got to Ulladulla then when you guys finally got to the south coast? Because you were 5 when you left Hawaii, so a few years in Cabarita. So you would have been like, were you learning to surf in Cabarita or?
Yeah, I think I don't know early days, like in that little tide pool at Rocky Rights. Mum was like pushing
Yeah,
me around on little swells and surfed a bit in Cabarita, and then yeah, really got into it when we moved down to Ulladulla when I was 7 or 8.
yeah. I was reading something about your dad earlier today, and he said that he shaped. He said you would go into the boardroom and grab all the boards and stand on them off the racks.
Yeah,
And then he said, and so he said he shaped you a little 3-foot, like cut a blank in half or something and shaped this like little blank and put rocker in it. And he said that you would like just go and stand on that board and just like rock up and down like you were
Rock around.
surfing, eating your cereal. And he said that's how you basically grew up. So I thought that was a pretty funny story.
Yeah, it's definitely. I know no way I wasn't going to be a surfer growing up in this family. But,
Yeah, well, your dad's a
yeah,
goofy footer, but right?
yeah, the whole family is my mum, dad, and sister. So I don't know what happened there, but yeah, I'm the only regular foot in the family. So he
Yeah,
dragged me to an awful lot of big lefts when I was young. Like was always surfing on the
yeah.
back end.
Yeah, I'd love to get into that. You know, your dad charged, obviously made big boards, Hawaii, etc. Was how was the progression for you, like from just learning to you were obviously brought up on the south coast. There's giant waves, big waves, slabs, just heavy water. It's like I would say it's not necessarily like it's just like reefs. It's heavy water down there, you know. So you're growing up surfing
Mm.
like with more the ocean's more powerful down there than like the east coast or whatever, like the Gold Coast, anything like that for sure.
Yeah,
So did your dad just drag you out to like, because at that stage he's probably wanting to surf big waves still, right? So like he's like, well, I want to surf this spot, Russell's going to come along with me and just jump in the water as well. Or how did that like sort of play out? Like how did that work out growing up with your dad like being a charger?
yeah. I don't know. Watching him, like some of my earliest memories of him, like running out the door on the North Shore when a big outer reef swell's going on. So I guess yeah, I always wanted to go and surf big waves with him and do that as well. So it was kind of a lot of times he's actually going, oh, not today, it's a bit big, and I was always like just kind of pushing to go out and surf with him whenever I could, and yeah, he kind of definitely like eased me into it, and he never pushed me at all, but yeah, I was kind of yeah, just had that desire to go and do it as well, and it is a pretty good training ground around here. You've got like a lot of yeah, just like the thicker and more powerful heavy waves, so to kind of be able to step up through that was really cool.
Yeah. Was it like something that I mean, I know it's easy to like when you're following someone like your dad and stuff that does that, like, and yeah, if your dad's your hero and it's easy, but like, did you always, did you have that affinity? Like, was there something inside you that was like, you're like, I just like this type of surfing, like these heavy waves or like going out in the bigger stuff? Like, obviously, your dad's, a guide, but also any other locals or something down there that sort of really helped you go out there and find that niche?
Yeah, for sure. It's I don't know, no matter how hard you want to try and do it, you have to have that love for it and be I don't know, I guess like really like that certain type of wave. And yeah, so many locals like Paul Morgan, Brett Bircher, Elliot Marshall, and then a bunch of crew I grew up with my age, we'd all just like I know it's this kind of pack of like 6 or 8 of us, and we'd all go to these little like 4 foot slabs and just kind of push each other out there. And yeah, you really didn't want to pull off a wave with your mates, like laughing at you from the shoulder or whatever. So yeah, there was a bunch of like friendly competition and stuff growing up, and all trying to outdo each other. So yeah, it's the kind of town where like I don't know if you're not having a dig, you don't really get or you'll definitely get paid out by your mates. So yeah, it kind of there's a huge I don't know a huge group of like underground crew here who just like will charge I don't know 10, 15 foot slabs and not really think twice about it. So,
Yeah, yeah, it's funny. Australia's crazy, man. It's like, big wave surfing's so like, it's there's so many different types, right? Like in Australia, it's like it's more definitely the slabs. Like
yeah,
we do have some big good paddle waves. I mean, you can't really say where they're at, but I mean, there's definitely a couple of amazing ones around. But they're definitely not. It's definitely not like Hawaii or where it's just an abundance of big paddle waves. It's just it's growing up for me too. Like, it was always guys like Kobe and Mark Matthews and those guys that were like getting covers at crazy slabs, and then Shipsterns came along and ours came along, and all the waves down in Vico and where you guys, and then the right appeared, so and there's just so many gnarly guys from Australia that you've never heard of, or that you sort of in Australia you would know, but they just go so hard, you know what I mean? And it's crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely like a different culture down here. Like it's its own little genre of big wave surfing. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Like something different and unique to Australia. But yeah, for some reason we just don't have that many. Like I guess just the reefs here just must drop off quicker or something. So it just turns everything into a slab. But yeah, that was kind of growing up here. We don't really get big swells. We're still on the east coast, so the biggest swell we'll get is like maybe a 12 to 15 foot swell once or twice a year. So to push yourself in a 6 foot slab, which ends up being way more challenging than say like a 10 foot outer reef style wave. So that's kind of what I got into from a young age, just surfing the shallow slabs.
Yeah, and then how did you sort of um, when would you say you started to like get to some like bigger paddle waves? You know, like was that something? I know you do have that left down your way that you guys can paddle into as well. I'm guessing that's sort of like the biggest paddleable wave you guys have down around there. And then was it was it coming to Hawaii like on family trips, sort of getting to the outer reefs and like big sunset and stuff? Was that your first sort of like glimpse into like paddling into like bigger waves? I mean, not necessarily slabs, but actually like taller, sort of deeper water waves.
Yeah, I think a lot of my like younger trips to Hawaii definitely introduced me to the outer reefs and stuff. And another one was actually I think my first surf trip. Just me and Dad went down to Vico, and there was like a big swell at Bells. It would have been like 12 foot or so, and I think I was like 12 years old or something. And Dad tried to paddle out from the main beach and got like washed back. Couldn't get out. It was just like lines and
Yeah.
lines of whitewash. So he went to paddle out from that beach around, like just I know the opposite side to Winky. I forget the name of the beach, but there's a little bommy that breaks up the shore and you can get out pretty easy.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I decided to go join him. And was out there just like terrified, just these huge walls just wrapping around the point. And yeah, ended up getting one on the head. I was like, oh, that's not as bad as I thought. And finally got a wave and like made the drop and couldn't get around it and just got washed up the beach. But that was kind of my first like I guess big paddle wave experience where it's like shifty and big walls coming in and stuff. And then yeah, when I was 13 or 14 or so, couple trips to Hawaii, we're just surfing. I know surf Big Sunset with Dad a lot, and took me to a few of the other outer reefs. So it definitely, yeah, I feel like a lot of people in Australia don't really like the deep water waves. There's just something about not having the reef there and deep hold downs that they don't like. But yeah,
Yeah.
I guess my experience, a lot of my growing up was spent in Hawaii as well, so I was used to getting flogged deep and on the reef.
Yeah, yeah, it interests me because I wonder why. Look, it's hard because I know big wave surfing is not like this giant sport, and it's not this lucrative sport, and it's expensive, right? Like to travel and all that. But I wonder why we haven't seen more Australians like sort of chasing swells to jaws and being out at Mavs and stuff like that. You know, you got there's don't get me wrong, there's guys that you got.
Yeah,
I mean, you see guys posting up in Porto like Red Dog and doing the summers there, and I remember Jughead was one of the first Aussies really even to surf Mavericks maybe. And don't get me wrong, there's been plenty of guys coming to Hawaii to paddle, but I just with now, like you don't really see a lot of guys like yourself at your age, like like just chasing those jaw swells, maverick swells, and I wonder if it's more just guys are just into getting big slabby barrels and they don't really care, or a little bit of both, but it's yeah, I'm just sort of. Is there anyone that you see growing up or in Australia or that has the potential or that's it's sort of like following your footsteps a little bit that that potentially was going to try and get on the tour when we had it, or at least try and get into the potential some of those events?
Yeah, it is. It is a funny one. You'd think with the amount of waves we have, it would there'd be a lot more Australian big wave surfers on the global platform. But yeah, it's funny. There's not really many people my age who I'm chasing swells with. Like Kip Caddy, I went to Shippies with a couple months ago, and he has a good dig, but he's yet to like chase jaw swells and all that.
Yeah,
Zach Haynes from WA, he's
yeah,
I could definitely see him going to Jaws. He surfed like Big Cloudy and Mullamore and stuff, and yeah, he rips and charges both like yeah, big traditional style paddle waves and always going down to the right and telling big slabs. So
yeah. I've
yeah, I
paddled, I
think
paddled, I paddled Cow Bommy with him a bunch.
yeah, yeah, he's a madman.
Yeah,
But
he's a wild man.
yeah.
The West Aussie guys, nuts.
But yeah, other than that, there's I don't know, not a huge amount of upcoming big wave talent here. But yeah, like I hope to see a few more people coming up, especially the younger guys starting to have a dig for sure. That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
there's got to be a ton of kids that could do it for sure. I remember Mark Matthews was he was right there about to go mad on the tour too until he really hurt himself that nuts wave he got before the
Yeah,
contest, before the first Jaws contest. That windy thing was just freaking crazy, and I think he tore his shoulder to bits on that wave, and that sort of really halted him. But yeah, it's weird. I've always just sort of wondered. I'm like, I guess I guess it comes down to just opportunity and just I guess not having. Yeah, some people are more comfortable in shallow slabby waves, where you can feel the bottom or where the bottom is.
yeah, for sure.
When you grow up, and some people are more like for me, like I grew up in Coffs Harbour and then moved to the Gold Coast. So for me, I like it wasn't really slabbing waves. I feel more comfortable in deep
Yeah,
water than I do actually in like shallow, slabby, where you can just hit the bottom and get slammed. Like some people feel more comfortable there than they do being pushed to the bottom and not feeling the bottom and being held under for a long
yeah,
time. So you're
yeah.
probably one of the few that you like have both, right? Like, what do you feel more comfortable in? Like, are you more comfortable not knowing you're going to hit the bottom, but you're going to have to hold your breath, or just knowing where that bottom is, even though you could just hit that really hard?
Yeah, probably a mix of both. I don't know, the super dry waves freak me out for sure.
Mm.
Um, but then also the super deep ones, like I don't know, like Mavericks and the right is one of the few slabs that you don't hit the bottom, you just go deep. But yeah, those I don't know, kind of feel pretty comfortable out chopes and stuff when it's big and also jaws. I think a big hold down's definitely a bit more for me to process, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm comfortable with both kind of.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was on the same boat as you this year at Jaws for the contest. I think we're in the first heat. Yeah, we're in the first heat together.
Yeah,
But I think it was was it the set? Was it the set? No, which one? I mean, I got flogged the
yeah, the
first
semi.
heat. When did you? Was it the semi that when you? Yeah, was that one where you tried to pull up under it and got clipped? Right, that's the
Yeah,
one where
kind
you
of
hit
just
the
lit
bottom
me
and
like
just
right there.
yeah,
Yeah, so I did
that
both
was
then.
hectic.
Yeah,
Yeah, you hit the
no,
bottom and
that
got
was
held down.
yeah, that I don't know, that was a bit too deep to be comfortably pushing off the bottom, I think. But yeah, that was weird. It felt like I just got slammed on like a perfect triangle of rock, just like straight on my foot and kind of up my shin. But yeah, I was glad I hit it with my feet instead of somewhere else. But that
Yeah,
yeah, that was definitely one of the worst wipeouts I've had for sure. It seemed
yeah.
like a few
Talking
of
about
those went
wipe.
down that day.
Yeah, yeah, it was a pretty hectic day. What about Australia? What's I mean, what are your most what are your favorite waves there? I mean, you have I know you go to Shippies a lot. You've been to the ride a bunch. I mean, you don't have to say names, I guess, but you got a ton of waves around home. But there's just so many good ways. But what do you go? What ones are on your radar, like at all times? Like, what are you searching the maps for?
Yeah, there's obviously the left around home's a favourite. It's just so good not being able to travel, not having to travel, and just wait for a swell at home. And I think Shippies is definitely my number one wave. I'm always skiing. I know it's pretty rare to have a slab that you can paddle at that size. And I know last few years I haven't been like I know too psyched on just towing big death slabs really like the right's a mental wave, but to you're not really paddling into a big one out there, but yeah, just the challenge of shippies, like actually sitting on this little boil and it gives you a chip shot into like a 10, 12 foot barrel. It's pretty cool. I think there's a lot to be done out
Yeah,
there as well. Like you could paddle a really big one out there, I think.
yeah. And what have you tried the paddle the ride?
I haven't, no. I've definitely put a lot of thought into it and some
Can you?
bodyboarders,
Can you? Do you think you can? Do you think
I
you
don't
can? I mean, I
know.
know the buoy boarders have tried, but I mean, it just seems like there's just way too much water moving. But I mean, hey, I mean, everyone thought you couldn't paddle jaws or whatever, so who knows?
Yeah, I do think there's a lot of room to move with like what's paddleable and what's not in slabs. But the right's definitely like the pinnacle. I don't know, just the amount of water moving on the reef as well. I was out there
Yeah,
with Hippo one day, we're checking it out on like a small day. It wasn't even really breaking. And we were like parking the ski up on the reef and all of a sudden like within 20 seconds you're off the reef and just like the amount of current and stuff swirling around that would be the big issue.
oh, I just feel like you would just get caught in like the danger of being caught like in a horrible spot there would just be like, fuck that,
Yeah,
be
that
next
yeah.
level.
I know. You'd want to
Because
go. You'd want to have like no leash and a safety ski right there,
oh,
just so you can bail your board and try and swim.
yeah, I mean, I haven't surfed the right. I don't even know if I want to. But for people that are that don't have never surfed it or are listening, watching, what is the like the topography there? Because like, don't you? It looks like you're surfing over dry reef, and then it just what drops over a shelf and just goes like basically to the bottom of the earth, right? Like I saw that wave
Yeah,
hippo had a three wave hold down or something. He's sitting nearly drowned. Like what's it like out there when you do fall?
I know. I think it's just this giant mushroom rock where it gets to like 3 or 4 meters, and so like 10 feet deep, and then drops off to I don't know, like 15 or 20 meters in
Wow,
a space of nothing. So
it's like 60 feet.
yeah, yeah, it's just I think it's the longest hold downs out of anywhere in the world. Like Mavericks would, but I think consistently people fall and get held down for longer at the right. It's just like the whole
Wow.
wave jacks up and is in like 4 meters of water and it's all high and you can actually like see the little ones that cap. They almost go off a waterfall. And I've seen people like
Huh.
fall at the end of a wave on the right and pop up maybe I don't know 100 feet deeper than where they fell. Like over on the left, pretty much in the channel on the left. And
Wow.
yeah,
So it's not even
it's a
like
freaky wave.
it's nearly like you can nearly get all the way to the end, like you're safe, but then fall and it'd be gnarly. Like it'd just be like one of the worst ways, like wipeouts of your life.
Yeah, a lot of the times it is on those. It seems like I don't know, like that same day Hippo got that three-wave hold down. I'm pretty sure Mark Matthews pulled into like that giant one that just had like a left coming at him, and he was like right at
Yeah.
the center of it. Like it was way bigger and thicker and scarier looking than Hippos. And Mark just said he popped up like sweet after that. But then if you do
Yeah.
get caught in that suck down, like it'd be similar to that waterfall feeling at Mavericks where you just go off a ledge and you're deep. But I
Yeah.
think it
Yeah.
just
It's
seems to
scary.
be a bit amplified. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Those
they're
waves are
definitely
scary, man.
yeah. they're the scariest type of wave for me, I think.
Yeah, yeah, wow. And then yeah, Shipsterns, you had success, man. I want to talk about actually I want to talk about the Red Bull events. So you won Red Bull Cape Fear, the one that was crazy. I think 2016 was it? Was that the year that you
Yeah,
won that?
yeah, that was
Was that
2016
was that your
at at
first
Cape
like sort
Kalenda.
of victory?
Yeah, definitely. It was yeah, it was like the first like big heavy wave contest I'd been in. So yeah, definitely think it put me in a great position really to start my career.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then there was Red Bull Shipsterns, which happened. Was that last year, 2019, I think? Or
Um, yeah, yeah, it was last year.
yeah,
It was
you guys surfed that last
around
year.
this time last
It's
year.
sort of like a board. It
Yeah,
was a sort of like a borderline core. Yeah, it was like sort of not quite big enough for towing, and sort of like a little bit on the small side of the paddle. Like it was sort of like just a weird size, right? But still, I mean, fun to watch and everything. And then you finish. I think would you get second in that one behind Nathan?
Um, no, they only took the winner out of each heat, and
Oh, that's
yeah,
right.
Laurie won
Laurie
the
was in
heat
the
I was
final.
in. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah. Okay.
yeah, it's such a hard place to forecast because it's like it's kind of in like a little crack in the bottom of Tasmania, so you need like a really specific direction to feel in there, right?
Yeah,
And I think to get all the equipment down there, they had to call it like 4 or 5 days before the swell, which
yeah,
anywhere in the world that's a hard thing to do, let alone Tasmania. And
yeah. Totally.
yeah, the swell ended up downgrading and the direction went a bit funny. But yeah, I mean, there were still waves and it was still like a really fun event. But if, yeah, if that event was held at like proper all time shippies, it'd blow minds for sure.
Yeah, you were saying that with the wiggle room to paddle, and then it seems like Shipsterns has been one of those ways where it was I think it was a paddle wave at the start, right? When I think Rasta and Andy Campbell and they all walked in and found that wave. It was a paddle of that size, and then
Yeah.
it was just it could hold. It's a big slab. It can hold giant swells down there, and then obviously that it got really popularized by the tone and all the boys down there, Marty and Homer Crosses and Mikey Brannan and all those guys. And then,
Mm.
but it's as things do. Now it seems like everyone's like yourself really pushing that limit of like what's capable of paddling out there, and it does seem like there's chip shots. I think Laurie got that famous one right in that Billabong trip with Andy and Parker.
Yeah.
That bomb,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. That was still one of the biggest
then you
ever
got
out there, I think.
yeah, and then you got your
Yeah.
wave right. What was that the wave at the end of your flow state edit?
Yeah, that was.
That was insane. So
Yeah,
talk us
that
through
was.
that wave. That you saying that you think that's the wave of your life?
Yeah, I think it has to be the way of my life. I know you see them out there at Shippies, those ones that run like perfectly from the start and don't like the steps more of just like a ledge where it gets a bit thicker. And yeah, it's normally I don't know you see one or two of those in a session out there, but to be able to like luck into that wave and yeah make it was yeah a pretty big accomplishment. Yeah, I've always seen those and wanted to get one, and to actually do it and make it felt pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you were totally like airdrop, like to reconnect and then pull up under that thing, and then to have that thing be that perfect was like it's nuts. Like that's what you want for the contest, right?
Yeah,
That
yeah, a day
size
like
there,
that would
those
have been
conditions,
insane.
where it's
Yeah,
like
because
there's going
that
to
was
be some incredible makes, but a lot of like incredible like wipeouts as well.
yeah for sure. That day like that wasn't even a set that day. Like there were big toe ones coming in every 10, 15 minutes, and then a bunch of ones that size to paddle. So if you got a contest in those conditions, it'd be pretty crazy.
Wow, yeah. So what's
Mm.
what's like growing up, did you like when you're at high school and you were surfing and stuff? Was being a pro surfer, was that sort of a priority? Was that something that you are working towards, that you thought it was gonna happen, or is it just sort of like fall on your lap?
Um, yeah, it was definitely a goal from probably when I was 15 or so, where I'm like, all right, I want to try and pursue this, and it's I don't know, it was always going to be tough and had to travel a lot at the start, but yeah, I feel like having that desire to go and push myself in these waves and really wanting that outcome, it
Yeah,
ended up happening probably easier than I expected. I guess with Red Bull Cape Fear winning that, it kind of boosted my profile and gave me a bit more of a platform to. I don't know. It's kind of
yeah.
surfing's that one thing. Like you just need that one wave or event or something, and then you kind of it becomes a lot easier to have momentum after that. And yeah, I was lucky enough to be in that contest and win it that day.
Yeah, and
And
were you always thinking about, was the QA, it wasn't like making the tour or anything for you, right? Was it like more like, because it seemed like this before the Red Bull event, the Cape Fear event, that it was like you were like more like about edits, clips, free surfing, finding all those waves, searching for waves, and then then obviously then the Red Bull contest came along, and then WSL putting on the tour, getting on the tour. It's sort of everything snowballed from there. But was your mindset, I'm going to be like chase swells, be a big wave surfer? Like that was what it was? Was it, or was it like, oh, I'm going to try and get on tour, etc., etc.?
yeah, I think I know when I was a kid, I did a bunch of the like contests up and down the coast, and yeah, got definitely got pretty sick of traveling and surfing like a 2 foot crappy wind swell. So kind of yeah, from early on, I realized that the QS wasn't really like an option for me that I was going to go and enjoy. And I yeah, I definitely do better in waves with a bit more power as well. So yeah, big wave surfing made sense, and the big wave tour was definitely a goal of mine from the start. And
Yeah.
yeah, was lucky enough to have the Red Bull contest, and yeah, just I love doing both, like chasing swells and making edits and surf movies, and also competing in good big waves.
Yeah, I think you've got to be, especially in this day and age, with the way that the surf industry is, and the way the world is. I think you've got to be willing to be do it all. You can't be like stagnated in just one mindset doing one thing. Otherwise, you sort of get left behind. So I feel like
Yeah,
for
for
you
sure.
being able to do contests, like the specialty events like a Red Bull, Cape Fear, or the Shipsterns one, and then being able to, I think you're on tour for the year before it sort of became just last year was just the one event at Jaws,
Yeah,
and then continue on just chasing swells, making edits. You made that incredible edit, Flow State, right? Is that what it was called?
flow state. Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah, and that was
yeah. Put
with
the
O'Neill. So, and with O'Neill, right, your major sponsor.
yeah, yeah. That was O'Neill. Thankfully, helped back that, and were really supportive of it. Yeah, stoked on how that came out, and the response it's received. Which
Yeah, and
yeah,
how
put that
how
out
is
at the
everything
beginning of last
going?
year.
How is everything going with for you, like sponsor wise and everything like that? Everything is staying the same. Like you're still on contract. Everything's good.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been a bit of shuffling around, but they're yeah continuing to support me, and yeah, I can't be more stoked. Really, it's I think a tough time for everyone. Everyone's like all businesses are taking cuts, like employees, everything, and yeah, it wouldn't make sense if the sponsored surfers didn't compromise a little bit at the moment. It is it is a pretty weird time, but yeah, hopefully the surf industry can get through it okay. It's,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I feel like we're in a I feel like anyone that's able to get any money and to be a pro surfer right now should be very thankful.
Yeah.
It's a lot,
Yeah, it's
a
definitely
lot of people.
yeah, non-essential work really. It's
Yeah, a
but
lot of people on the chopping block. So um, I want to talk about. I know you did I was reading this morning too. There was I think this. I remember one of the first times I'd heard about you too was you did a trip with Kelly down to South Oz. I think
yeah,
with Benithan with Tim as well, and
yeah.
Kelly was. I think he quoted something like, "Yeah, it's really humbling when a 13-year-old kid comes out and throws 25 years of experience back in your face," or something like that. So. Tell us, yeah. How was that? Was that like back when you were like 13 or 14 or something? That was a
Well,
pretty cool trip to go on.
I think it was I think it was 15 maybe, but
Yeah,
yeah, Benithan called me up and said there was a spot, and I think Kelly and Alex Gray were down there, and yeah, somehow I ended up getting an invite to that trip, and we went down. And at the time, that wave had only been bodyboarded a couple times, I think, and so to go surf a new wave with those guys was pretty mind blowing. And yeah, to be able to watch Kelly out there at such a young age figure the wave out was pretty cool.
I want to talk about that wipeout that you had um, down in. I'm not going to say the name of the wave, but down in Victoria, and you bought. It's one of our best paddle waves in Australia, if not the world, when it's on. Right? What are your thoughts on? It's a pretty incredible wave, right?
Yeah, it's pretty insane. That was actually the first time I'd surfed it, and yeah, it was the perfect day. Like, it wasn't big and scary really. It was like light offshore, sunny, probably 12, 15 feet, and yeah, it was definitely an all-star cast out there. Like Ross Clark Jones, Tom Carroll, Kelly, Hippo, everyone was out, and it was yeah, pretty epic session really, and just kind of one of
And
those
then
fun big
you,
wave days. But
yeah, right. And then you had a sort of a run of the mill type wipeout, right? But your board hit you like in the throat and jaw. Is that how it happened? Like the
yeah, I mean, it was at the end of the session, and we were like, "Oh yeah, we'll get one more and meet in the channel and paddle in." And yeah, I got my last wave and rode it for a bit, and like went to like squeak up into a little barrel at the end. It was probably I don't know, it was only like an 8 foot wave, and yeah, fell. And as I fell in the barrel, my board must have come up and hit me under the chin. And
mm,
I was riding 9.8. It's like I think on the rail there would have been 5 layers of 6 ounce fiberglass, and like put a big hole in the rail, and I think it knocked me out underwater, and I breathed in water.
yeah,
And yeah, thankfully the local boys had a jet ski out there in the channel, and yeah, Hippo grabbed me, and a few other crew got me on the sled and raced me to the beach. And yeah, it's if there wasn't a ski out there, it's definitely too long of a paddle in that state. And then yeah, we got onto the beach, and the local surf life saving club, they were actually running a first aid course, and the
wow,
lady saw what was going on and ran down with a bottle of oxygen straight away, and yeah, got me on oxygen, and the ambulance came, and I was all right. Like I think a couple of days in hospital, I got off pretty lucky. But yeah, it was
yeah,
definitely,
yeah, right.
especially to have it happen in conditions where it's you're not surfing 30-foot windy jaws. It was just kind of like one of those funner big
Yeah,
wave sessions, like similar to a nice big clean day at sunset or something. But yeah, it was definitely
seems like those things
reality
always
check.
happen on those type of days
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Just kind of,
when you
I
least
guess you let your
suspect it.
guard down, you relax. Yeah, but
And then,
yeah,
so
definitely.
speaking on them, like that's just like I want to get into some like the mindset too. Like I really like, listening to you big wave surfers, like their mindset. So, I mean, what was the mind like? Obviously, you get hurt like that, and you drown, and you're like, well, shit, like maybe that could have died. Like it could have went another way. Like lucky there was a ski, lucky there was a surf life saving, this and that. Like, how do you what was your mindset and recovery like? Was it something that you struggled with coming back from that, or is it something that was just like, hey, this is part of what I do and I've just got to get through it? Like, what was it like trying to get back in the water and surf big waves again after that?
Yeah, I think I don't know. Being a big wave surfer, you always know that that consequence is there, but it definitely made it a lot more real when I like even like just happening to me, or even if you see it happen to someone you know, it kind of reinforces the fact that it can and does happen. But it kind of just made me think about preparation a bit more. Like we had a jet ski on the car, we could have easily just launched it and had it out there, but we're like, oh, yeah, it's small and we're fine, we don't need it. But yeah, it kind of made me think about a safety backup plan, and also, yeah, coming back into it, I was it was definitely a bit of a head trip, but I've I don't know. I mean, it was like nothing compared to the waves I have thrown myself into. And I had a friend, my friend who was actually out there with me. He broke his jaw hitting his board in the 2 foot shory trying to near as well, like a couple of years before that. So it's kind of one of those things like you could fall on a 3 foot wave and your board hits you in the head and you drown. But so just to look at it that way as a freak accident and actually have the safety team there and ready for if something bad does happen, I think that's
Yeah.
all you can do. And yeah, for me, like the love I have for surfing big waves is definitely worth that risk. But just to try and minimize it, I guess, is what you have to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like speaking on that with the, preparation and training and all that stuff, like take me through like what does Russell Bierke do to survive, to stay in shape? Like, do you find it's more mental? Is it, you're working out, doing some physical stuff, stretching, whatever it is, like what is it that you do to stay safe and to give yourself the best opportunity to survive those crazy waves that you do surf?
Yeah, definitely. I know. I think most of it is mental, really. Like you obviously have to be in great physical shape, and I stay fit working out, like um, breath training. Um, I find the best thing really is to just surf a lot. Like even when it's 2 foot, I'm always surfing and like even like paddling harder than I should, like breath holds, whatever. Just being out in the water and active. It's like I've had some, I know, like a minor injury. I'll hit the gym hard and be feeling like as fit as I've ever felt, and then you get back on a surfboard and you're like out of breath by the time you get to the lineup. So there definitely
Yeah.
is that specific, I guess, surf or paddle fitness. And also, I know like spearfishing, freediving sort of thing.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of that lately, and yeah, I think that really helps with your breath hold and just relaxing underwater.
Yeah. Keeps you
But
calm, right? I feel like for me, the same thing. It's weird. Like you can go out and do all the training and stuff in the world, and then like I live at Sunset, so Sunset's my go-to wave. I love it. I love like you can take big boards out, you can sample big boards, change fins up. You get like a week run of like 10 days to 2 weeks of back-to-back swells at Sunset, and like you surf that place every day. Like
yeah,
you get so fit so quick, like I feel like that would be for me personally, like if I was getting ready for Jaws or something and I had like a week or two run of like 8 to 10, 6 to 8, 10 to 12 feet at Sunset, like there'd be nothing better than like preparing like that. You know what I mean? It's just
for sure.
and then it comes down to like I feel as well from my experience is it's mental. It's we have so many different characters in big ways, but like you are and you come across, you're very relaxed, you're an easygoing guy. So for me, that seems like you're going to take that into your surfing, and in certain situations, you're not going to panic. You're going to, be sort of calm and relaxed. Is that a right sort of analogy for you? You feel like you're
Yeah,
pretty relaxed in like not like crazy situations?
Definitely. I think, I don't know, the couple times, especially as a kid, you'd get held under by a wave, like you'd never even seen a wave that big, and then all of a sudden it lands on your head. It's like the few times I have got a bit panicked and flustered, it's like just made the situation so much worse. And yeah, like when I was young, actually, I think I'd like just had a hold down and I was all freaked out. And Dad said to me, like, underwater, he's like, next hold down, just count how long you're under for. Like, you'll only be under for 10 seconds max. Like, so I
Yeah.
did that and realized I was getting like 4 or 5 second hold downs where you like feel like it's a 30 second or a minute hold down and you're like, all right, so I can hold my breath for 5 seconds. This is all right. And then
Yeah.
kind of gave me a bit more confidence there. And yeah, I think just not panicking no matter what you do, kind of just under there, go into your own little world and just let it spin you, wash you around. And then once it calms down, then you try and get to the surface. But just, I don't know, if you panic, you just use so much more oxygen and everything just becomes frantic. And yeah, you definitely don't
Yeah.
want that under there.
No. Yeah. What a cool thing going back to your dad. Like, such like to have such advice and experience from someone that's already done that. Like growing up must be awesome. I see your dad at the events. He comes over. I saw you you're in the first heat the couple of years back when they called off, and I was up on the hill. I'm waiting for. I was in the last meant to be in the last heat of the day, but your mum and dad I think were there that day, and I was watching them that first wave you took, and you like feathered at the top and kicked out the back, and then the second one where you did the same thing and got down it. And like your dad was pretty calm, but your mum was like, "What?" Like, not freaking out, but yeah, what a cool experience to have your dad like in your corner. And is he still
Yeah,
surfing?
it is
Like,
cool.
is he still surfing? Like surfing full stop, or is he still getting out there like in the big stuff down in Ulladulla? Like, what sort of
Yeah,
class is big down that way? Yeah,
yeah, he's still surfing a bunch. He's always in the water and frothing out. He's definitely I think slowed down in the real bigger waves, but he'll still go out to
yeah.
some of the local waves and they're like 10 feet plus and sit out the back and wait for a nice perfect one and yeah, get like, I don't know, he always seems to be on the biggest wave of the day around here. But yeah, it's still cool to be able to like to watch him still surfing. And yeah, he's like I think 59 now, so
Yeah,
getting
right.
yeah, definitely getting on, but still surfing a bunch, which is cool.
No, you haven't talked him into 12 to 15 foot glassy date jaws.
No, I think if it was a left, he'd be a bit keener, but
Maybe you
yeah,
can
I
just
think
go sit on the
back,
left.
yeah, I know before Laird and that started surfing, and even I think he had a friend who was from Maui and was like, "Oh, you got to come check out this wave." Like, I think it's like a really, really good big wave. And Dad's like, "Oh yeah, one day I'll get there." And I know, like his favorite outer reef works in the same conditions, so he never did. But it turned out that was Jaws. So, but
Yeah, wow.
yeah, he's like, "Is it alright?" And the guy's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, I'll stick to my outer reef lefts."
Yeah, well, if you're on the
Yeah,
North Shore, man, I was talking to someone the other day, and you think about when the outer reefs light up here, they're all lefts. There's a lot of
yeah, they
big,
are.
good lefts on the North Shore, man. Like really, really good waves. So your dad would have been in heaven over here, like when he was over here, shaping and surfing. So he was stoked.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure he was.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know. Yeah, I've heard some stories of him like paddling out to the outer reefs when like the eddies on and stuff, just by himself, sitting out there, like pretty pretty crazy.
yeah, apple doesn't far fall from the tree, so they say, right?
Yeah,
What's your relationship like surface like with the shaping? He obviously shapes all your boards, right? So I mean, obviously, I read something where um, the shorter boards and everything is fine, but like when you started to really want to surf jaws and the outer reefs and stuff, like there was really a time where you guys started to work together, and he was like, well, I'm going to shape my son big wave boards that his life depends on it. We got to make these things like perfect. So I mean, talk about that, like being able to just have your dad as your shaper and really fine tune what you're doing. And have you done anything really different than what most people are doing, do you think, like, or is it just similar just to your strengths?
It's amazing to be able to like work with someone that closely on surfboards and fine tune it all. And I think we've kept it pretty similar, maybe especially like 5 or 6 years ago when the trend was like really big, thick rails and like paddle machines kind of kept it a lot slimmer. Like I remember I had one board, it was a 10-2 with kind of like boxy rails and took it out jaws and just was like terrified on it. Just, I don't know, because I'm a pretty light guy. I just felt
Yeah.
like I couldn't turn it, like just too much rail to get in the water. So I kind of went back to almost the old school stuff that Dad was riding on the outer reefs, like really refined knifey rails and a bit of nose rocker, like so you could actually maneuver on the wave.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like the whole trend in board design is going that way as well. But yeah, I just for me, I'd way rather be undergunned than overgunned. Like I don't mind sitting in a bit closer and taking a steeper drop, and just as long as I can
Yeah.
control the board. But
Yeah.
yeah, I guess that might be the main difference in my quiver than some other guys. But
Yeah. Seems
yeah,
seems
just
like
something I can
you
control.
yeah, seems like you like to sit sort of like I like to a little. It's like you got Albie where he's sitting and he's doing his thing, which is even more like critical. And then you got like say, Billy and those guys that like getting those ones from way out deep, and coming in. And then seems like you get a lot of your waves in between that, like
Yeah,
just in
there's
between the two. You know what I mean? Like, and they're freaking amazing waves. The way that those waves that you got in our heat and that too were there. I think I was right beside you on a couple of them. It was like they weren't like on the North Peak and they weren't in the West Bowl. They were sort of those ones that come just in the middle, and they're some of the best waves that come through out there too.
yeah, those ones are pretty incredible. That middle zone. I noticed. I know the first year I surfed Jaws was that El Nino year where it just broke like 10 times or something, and
Yeah,
pretty much all of Dorian's crazy waves were right in that middle zone, like sneaking in there. So that's definitely
yeah,
it definitely became like a goal of mine to sit there and try and find those waves. And I think
yeah,
you don't need as big a board as on the North Peak because you're kind of sitting under it a little bit more, and but you do need to be on rail and turn a lot quicker because you kind of don't
yeah,
have that lead in where you're already set up. You kind of have to like knife it. But
yeah.
I think for me, growing up the waves around here as well, it's like a lot of them don't have an option to roll in before the ledge. It's kind of like
No, you're
all
you're
this,
you're like
there's a
airdropping,
swell and
trying to
then
turn.
yeah, you want to be like paddling into the wave at the bottom, and then the whole thing will jack like I don't know, like chope style or something where you just have to be late and make the drop. So I guess that's my style in big wave surfing as well, to sit a little bit further in and maybe a later drop, but be on a board I can control and ride easier on the wave.
Yeah, and then what would be your? I think I was talking to you. Is 10-0, 10-2 the biggest board you would ride out at Jaws, and then I think you were riding like the last contest. What were you on, like a 9-6 or a 9-8?
Yeah, I was on a 9-8. I
9-8,
can't.
yeah.
I don't know. This maybe the odd day at Jaws, like a really big shifty north day, I'd want a 10-2, but I think 9-8 is pretty much my go-to board out there. And the year before last, I rode a 9-2 out there, like pretty low volume, knifey 9-2, and yeah, it felt amazing on the wave. Like a little bit more paddle power would have been nice, but when I was on the wave, it just felt so nice to be able to like turn like right where you want and put it in the pocket. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
definitely realizing I'm I'm a fan of a bit shorter board than most.
How much do you weigh in, say kilos, pounds, I guess, whatever, kilos, pounds.
Uh, yeah, I don't know pounds, but yeah, kilos. I think I'm 68 or 69 kilos.
Okay, so 71. Yeah, you're like about 150, 150 pounds. So pretty light, like it's not
Yeah.
like, what about weight? Like
Or
what are
height.
your general, no,
Oh,
what's the weight of your boards like at Jaws?
oh yeah. Um, yeah. Off the top of my head, I don't know how much they weigh, but they are kind of in the
Yeah,
middle range to a bit lighter. I mean, they're like,
yeah.
yeah, I think triple
Seven,
six on the deck
seven
and double
kilo
six on the
boards.
bottom, but yeah, under 10 for sure. Like kind of 7 to
Yeah,
9 kilos probably.
7 to 9
But
kilos. Yeah,
yeah, a few of the local guys at Jaws have picked them up and gone, oh, they feel light. But
yeah,
yeah, I
right.
think I don't know. I think like Kai Lenny especially is a testament to light boards at Jaws because
Yeah,
it almost seems like his boards like they get caught in the wind, but he uses that under his feet to like
yeah,
uses the wind to keep the board on his feet. But he is a freak.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
um, yeah, I think there's I don't know. You can go the big heavy thing that'll just like ram through each chop, or you can go the light, more maneuverable board
yeah.
that like will can stay under your feet as long as you can control it.
Yeah, I think there's a happy medium, and I think you need a quiver of like boards that like like last year it was like freaking insane conditions. Like in the morning it was pretty light winds.
Yeah,
Well, the wave seems light winds, but then the waves are so big that it generates its own offshore. Basically, you know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like
for sure.
so. I mean, but yeah, crazy. It's crazy. What a crazy wave. But is that what did you think? Is that Is that like your favorite big wave? I mean, seems like Mavericks would be right. I mean, you've surfed Mavericks a few times, but not a lot, right? And then seems like Mavericks would be a really like right up your alley. Like it's like a
Yeah,
slab. It's like one of the first. It's like really the only slab like big paddle wave. You know what I mean? Like and
for
now
sure.
with the left, like on those smaller days when you can sort of like backdoor that left that and you were out there that I think those couple of years ago when there was a couple of really fun back to back that whole week of waves where a lot of guys were charging the left.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I actually broke my finger in the Nazare contest right before that. So I sat that Mavericks run out, but I did get a small day a couple of years ago and like got a few fun lefts and yeah, it's a wave I really want to surf more for sure. It's got that
Mm,
like I know that slabby lurch to it that
yeah,
yeah, I definitely enjoy waves like that, being able to like know where it's gonna ledge. You can kind of put yourself underneath it. But
yeah,
yeah, the lefts at Mavs are definitely a goal of mine to get a good day out there.
yeah. What about Nazare? What's
Yeah,
I know you went and you had that gnarly wipeout, right? The toe wipeout.
yeah. Yeah, that was
What's
a quite a long hold down.
Yeah, well, talk us through that, like compared to other ways for, because I feel like the general public and even people that know a lot about surfing sort of, you know, they give it a bit of a bad rap. Not a bad rap. They used to like, it's a mush burger, blah, blah, blah. But that place has so much power. It's crazy. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it may not look as aesthetic or top to bottom or perfect. And it's obviously not a perfect wave, but as in like energy and water and power and the way that that moves around, like, I don't know if I've seen anything like that.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy that the day I had that big wipeout was actually I think my second day in Portugal. I just got off the plane the day before, and yeah, to be honest, I just wanted to go paddle it before they had the tour stop there, and it was like, oh, only if it falls in my lap, I'll go tow it. Like I just kind of, I don't know, wasn't really interested in towing like big wild Nazare. And sure enough,
Yeah.
the day I get there, I'm talking to Chumbo. He's like, "Yeah, we're gonna go tow it. Come on, you can ride Carlos Berlet's board." And I'm like, "Oh, all right." So yeah, Connor Maguire, my friend from Ireland. Yeah, we both went out with them, and yeah, it was just like tripping, just these huge wedges coming like from every direction. And then, yeah, I think Carlos towed me into my first wave, and it was just one of those ones that didn't really break, and I just did like S turns all over. I was like, oh yeah, that was fun, like snowboarding. And then
Yeah.
whipped me into the next wave, and thinking it was doing the same thing, and the whole thing just like all of a sudden just ledged out, just got so steep. And yeah, I was just like, felt like I was just going straight down vertical, and this massive shadow came out into the flats in front of me, and I was like, oh shit, it's just landing on me right now. Just like all I could think about was Andrew Cotton's wipeout, where he just got like blown up in the air.
Oh,
I was just
yeah.
like
Or he did like,
praying, like yeah, it was, and sure enough, the lip landed like on my tail pretty much, and got under my board, and like just like lifted me in the air, and next thing you know, I'm on my back, like looking at just this avalanche of whitewash, and yeah, pulled my vest as soon as I fell, and like had padded flotation on as well, and still was just underfoot ever, like just in these massive cycles, just like thinking I was getting a 2 wave hold down, like I could feel the next wave drawing out even. Like popped up, got one breath, the next one just like exploded on me, and then that happened for a third time. It was just like couldn't even see. It was just like so dizzy. He got washed.
wow.
Yeah, pretty much got washed in. Like Chumbo, I think he nearly flipped the ski trying to get him in before the third wave, and like had to lap around. And then yeah, finally got to the shore, got the board, and he's like, "You want to come back out?" And I'm like, "No, I'm done. I just got to lift back to
I'm
the
done.
marina." And sat there like, yeah, it's like never want to surf this wave again. But
Oh,
yeah, and then ended up having a really fun week of like kind of 15 to 20 foot paddle size, like right before the contest, like super clean and
yeah.
nice challenging peaks. But yeah, I think for me the risk outweighs the reward when it's big and you tow in, and like it's just so much can go wrong that's out of your hands. Like you kick out and the ski's not
Yeah.
there and you just get cleaned up, or the ski flips. Like um
Yeah.
yeah, I think those those nice clean paddle days are pretty cool, and it's amazing to go test equipment, and super challenging to be able to put yourself in that position. But yeah, I'm not too excited to go tow it big anymore.
Yeah, everything's got a fault. I mean, so much can go wrong. It's crazy. Like, but those paddle days are nice. Like it's not
Yeah,
gigantic. Like it's sort of more controlled. And like the day of that contest, you made the final, right? I think that year of
yeah,
the contest. Yeah, I mean that was pumping. It was so consistent, and it was nearly all lefts towards the end of the contest. Everyone was getting amazing rides, and like it's at least it's controllable, to a degree. Whereas
for sure.
when it's giant, like say, you could be totally lost, and someone like if your safety's not on point, like you could just vanish. It feels like you could vanish
Yeah,
at Nazare, and not be come up.
for sure. I know. Even on that clean paddle day in the contest, I think first heat got my finger caught in the sled of the jet ski, and like yeah, snapped my pinky out to the side like in the
Ugh.
first heat, and had to surf with it strapped up. Like yeah, even still, there's so
Yeah,
much that could go wrong. That was just like punching through a wave, and I came off the
yeah,
sled and my finger got stuck in the loop. But it's yeah, definitely a gnarly wave with a whole lot of different challenges to normal.
yeah, yeah. So what do you think is the future for big wave surfing? Just moving on. Like you're a perfect example. I feel you're this young kid that's you know grown up doing it the right way. Saw that the WSL was gonna have the big wave tour, and you got yourself on tour, and so like maybe potentially saw a pathway to like a career. Obviously we're in a crazy time right now, and things have changed. But like, what does Russell Bierke's thoughts on where it's headed, where it needs to go, what you'd like to see? Is it contests? Is it free surfs? Is it like different style contests? I mean, different type of waves. It's because really feel like the world's at our feet with big wave. It just hasn't been done right. But I'd like to I'd like to get some insight on what goes on in your mind in that thought.
Yeah, I mean, I think like contests will always have a part, but it is really hard to get the perfect day and the perfect conditions for. So I don't know, most big wave sessions, it's like a 3-hour window or something, but to get a 6-hour
Yeah.
window where everyone surfs evenly in good conditions is pretty tough. But I think although there'll always be a place for that, I think free surfing is where it's at for big waves, and I don't know, like a wave of the winter style thing, like the double XL awards sort of thing, is
Yeah.
probably the maybe the best platform to get it out with the world, because there's so many sessions where like they just go unnoticed really, um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think performance wise, just like surfing the wave more, like rather than it's already happened in the last 5 years, like rather than just taking the drop
Yeah.
and maybe getting to the shoulder or going straight, it's like people are like setting up for barrels, like pumping in big barrels and stuff, and
Yeah.
which is cool, and I think it'll keep going that way. And
Yeah.
also, I think slabs are a really big part of the future. I know seeing guys like Nate and Colour at Chopes and what Chumbo does. Like saw some footage of Chumbo at Mullimore that was pretty crazy, and just riding like really critical, big, thick barrels and paddling into
Yeah.
them. It's definitely,
Yeah. I
I think
think
we'll see a
I
lot
think
more of that.
bringing Yeah, I think even bringing back like the slabs have a unique thing where you can use a ski, right? You can have paddle and tow. Like I don't know if them combining like in the same heat works so much. I don't know if that worked at
Yeah,
Shipsterns. I don't know if I was a fan of that, to be honest. But definitely like like having the option. I think having the option to have the ski there and to if it's too gnarly or too big or whatever, like to pull out the rope, like, I know
yeah,
a lot of people like with that Jaws contest that got cancelled. They're like, well, you should have just become a tow contest. You know what I mean? Like maybe there's some
yeah.
merit to that. Who knows? Like, but yeah, it's interesting. What about the contest? Like if we're just talking like pure contest, um, do you think there's any validity in like priority? Is it, and then like, or is it like the Eddie style where you can like just everyone surfs twice instead of like having that knockout format where people travel all the way and just get one heat? Like, um, what do you think about
Yeah,
that stuff?
I think if there was a way to implement priority, it would be pretty cool. I think I don't know, just it is hard because it's a big playing field, and someone might not be it might not be their turn, but they might be in the spot. But there maybe should
Yeah,
be something with like top two or like two surfers get priority at a time or something. It is a tough one to figure out, but it would be really nice.
yeah,
And also I don't know, 45-minute heats. It seems like a long time, but in a big wave session, it's not. So
yeah,
an Eddie style format could be an option where you can actually surf. I know 2 heats, double your chance of getting a good wave, and it could allow for maybe more progression, maybe less bad wipeouts. People trying to like force a wave in, like they know they've
yeah,
got 10 minutes left, and there's a big evil set coming in, and they know they're
yeah.
probably not going to make it, but they give it a shot anyways. Which I think that
Yeah, and you get
the whole
two
risk
hours.
factor.
You potentially get 2 hours of surfing, right? You finished the day and you had
Yeah,
yourself 2 hours, and there's not no one else to blame. And yeah, it's interesting. I just I don't think there's a right or a wrong answer. I just think that it's cool to talk about because I know a lot of those questions come up for for everyone when the contests come around and stuff. And the priority thing, I just don't know either. I got a feeling it could be more hassle than it's worth trying to work it out. But
yeah,
maybe there is a way. Maybe less people in a heat, less people in the contest. I mean, I don't know. It's all up for discussion, I guess. But yeah, it's interesting
yeah,
times. I think well, one thing for sure is we know that big wave surfing is it's some of the most watched surfing events in the history of the sport. There's no doubt. When
definitely.
those events come on, everyone drops what they're doing to watch those events. Because you would attest to the Red Bull Cape Fear event. Like, I mean, how many people would have watched that and watched you win? And really, catapulted your career.
Yeah, it's huge. Like, I guess it's so relatable for even like novice surfers or people who don't even surf to watch like carnage in a big wave. It's like probably so much more exciting than watching someone do a cutback at J Bay or something. Like, you have to surf
Yeah.
to appreciate that, really. Whereas big wave surfing, it's kind of more of a spectacle for everyone, really, I guess.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Well, I know I got you up pretty early, but I usually I finish up the podcast with I call it 5 to finish. So it's 5 questions. So I'm going to hit you with 5 questions, and then we'll end it there. So
Cool.
number 1, what is the best big wave in the world?
Jaws, I think. It has to be.
Jaws, yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
Or
Yeah,
cloudy.
a lot of
Jaws
people
or
said that.
cloudy.
Yeah, I think. Well, that's a good one. What about what's the sort of 2-part question? Like the gnarliest, scariest big wave in the world to you?
I think it's a tie between Nazare and the right, just for,
Mm,
I know both so different, but I think both equally as
yeah,
scary and dangerous as the other.
yeah, that's awesome. I think that's cool coming from you because you surf a lot of the slabs and everything, and to hear Nazare, like I think that just there's so much water moving, and the right just looks heavy. It looks straight up heavy. So that's an awesome answer. What's one big wave that you haven't surfed that you want to surf?
Ooh. Porto. I haven't made it down to Porto yet. And yeah, I'd love to go spend some time down there. And, yeah, like get a swell, but it's been on the hit list for a few years, but just haven't made it over there yet.
Yeah, that's right up your alley, old Porto.
Yeah. I have to get there.
Um, yeah, okay. The most underrated big wave in the world.
Ooh, most underrated. Um, I might go with Mullimore, even though
Mm,
I know. I guess Tom Lowe with his wave there this year kind of showed what can be done out there. It's
yeah,
fickle and cold and hard to get, but when it's good, it's yeah, pretty insane.
yeah.
Like good
Yeah,
luck trying to
just
score it.
yeah, yeah. One last before we get to the last question, I was going to say it was so funny because, like, if you're looking, the biggest awards we have is the Ride of the Year, and then that wave you got in the heat at Jaws was like number one. Like that was the best wave all year for so long, right? And it's like, well, I think Russ is going to get Ride of the Year, and then Billy, and then
Yeah, Billy
Tom,
and
Tom
Tom.
gets Tom gets that wave at Mulligmore, and you're like, far out, like that's sick,
Yeah,
like and you're like, whoa, that's pretty close, like it could go either way, right? That's in my personal opinion. I'm like, fuck, like if you've been to Mulligmore, you know how gnarly that was to do that, like, and to
yeah,
just get away
yeah.
like that,
That's so gnarly.
and then Billy comes out and gets
I
his wave
know.
at Jaws, and you're sort of like, fuck, okay, well, Billy just blew everyone out of the water, right? So
Yeah,
but but anyway, to me, I think they're the top from what I've seen. Just like off the top of my head, I think yours and Billy's and Tom's are probably going to be fighting it out for that top spot, which is awesome. But all right, we'll get to the last question. If I remember right, is where do you think is the next big wave discovery?
oh, um, I know. I don't know. South America has probably got some good waves up its sleeve. Like there's so much coastline there, and it gets so much swell. I've never been down there, but it looks like it would have potential for some crazy big wave setups. And I know I've seen Ramon Navarro surfing these crazy
Yeah,
disto out of reefs and bombies, but yeah, I'm sure there's some stuff down there that we don't know about.
yeah, for sure. Right on, buddy. Well, thanks, Russ. I appreciate it, mate. I appreciate you getting
Cool.
up
Thank
early on a
you.
Saturday morning, and make sure you say hello to your dad for me. Actually,
Will
tell him
do.
I want a board. I'm gonna get a board. I want to get a board shape
Cool.
from him for Jaws. So I'm gonna order one. But and stay safe down there, and hopefully we'll see you in the water somewhere, man. Instead of being locked down, we'll see you somewhere charging.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It happens soon.
Yep. Right on, Russ. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks.